Hi, this is Jackie from Lioness at the Door. I'm glad that you've joined me. I hope you're doing well. Today I wanted to talk to you about a nutrient-dense food that you may or may not be incorporating into your diet. But it's a really good time of year to be thinking about this because you want to stay well as the seasons are changing. If you live in a place where the seasons change, here it's getting down below freezing at night, and so people are kind of on that slippery slope of, getting the flu or a cold. So be thinking about having a very nutrient-dense diet. And one way that you can do that is to incorporate squash into your diet. It's a very good antioxidant and just a really rich, good food. If you think that you don't like squash, but you've only tried zucchini, I'm here to tell you there's a lot more to try, and you can really incorporate it into your diet in a lot of ways. There are so many kinds. Hubbards, delicatas, acorn, banana, spaghetti, just a lot of different kinds of squash. And if you want to store them whole in a cool, dry place, some of those thicker skinned squash will last for about 3 to 6 months in the right conditions. So you can do that. But also something that I like to do is just cook a bunch. Now's the time when they're readily available at farmers markets or even in the grocery store or maybe from your own garden. And you can just cut them in pieces, leave the skin, take the seeds and the pulp out. They're much easier to remove the skin after they're cooked. So just take the seeds and the pulp out, put the pieces into a roasting pan with a little bit of water in the bottom of the pan and cover it, and then just bake it at 350 until the squash is tender. For most, that would be maybe 45 minutes to an hour. So just check it, and when it's tender, you just scoop out the flesh and leave the skin, and then put it into 1 cup or 2 cup portions in your freezer Ziploc bags, so that when you're using a recipe, muffin recipe or cake or soup or pancakes or whatever, you will know the portion size that you're taking out of the freezer. So it makes it really convenient and nice, a nice way to use squash throughout the year. When you have a recipe that calls for a pumpkin, you can pretty much substitute any of these different kinds of squash. Or, sometimes if it calls for applesauce, or you can even put it in place of oil in some recipes. So just play with it and see what you come up with. It's a good way to get a lot more of that really nutrient-dense goodness into your diet. So there's a challenge for you. Also, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about self-care, and really the genesis of good self-care is positive, constructive, encouraging self-talk. And that's a little tricky. And I think the thing that makes it so tricky is that it's happening all the time, but oftentimes we are not aware of what we're saying to ourselves. It's an automatic, ingrained, just something that goes through your head without you even thinking about it or noticing it. So I want you this week to just pay attention to what's going on in your head. What do you say to yourself? And is it positive and encouraging, or is it really critical, something that you would never, never say to another person? And if you find that that's the case, you might also discover that that critical voice sounds just like someone in your life. It might sound like a parent or a sibling or a spouse or someone who has either spoken to themselves that way and you've picked that up, or they've actually spoken to you that way. And if you discovered that that's the case, I want you to be really careful, because once we have a realization like that, we're on that precipice of blaming that person for this negative thing that we have going on. You can acknowledge it, but that's all you need to do. Don't need to blame, don't need to become critical of them. Just acknowledge that that maybe the beginning of this issue was there, and then understand that now it's yours. And so you're in a really powerful place to be able to change what's going on in your head. You don't need to stay there. You can change it, and it's very doable. So, rejoice. It's great. Once you figure out what's going on, then you can take steps to change it, and we'll be talking about that more later. But for now, just pay attention and just hear what's going on, and then we'll talk about that a little more, and you will get the connection of I'm believing these things about myself, and I'm saying these things to myself, and now I'm feeling this way, and then my actions in self-care or self-neglect are following those thoughts and beliefs. So it's a really powerful thing, and really, if you're going to take good care of yourself, you have to work on that first. So I hope this week you'll pay attention to that. We'll kind of figure that out, just figure out what's going on, so that you can begin to take even better care of yourself. And remember, better care of you equals better care for your home and family. So you got a lot of motivation. We need to do this, need to get it cleared up. So hope you'll do that. I will see you soon. Bye-bye.